Let's talk about round 19. Round 19 of the Telstra Premiership. It kicks off tonight. The battle of this ocean. The battle of the sea. The Sharks and the Dolphins. Friday tonight, 8 p.m. Sharks Stadium, the venue. Daniel Atkinson back on the duty bench for the Sharks. Sean O'Sullivan. Cody Nicarima's been good alongside the great Katoa. Now, little fun thing here, Scopey. People are saying, well, how will Sean O'Sullivan go with Isaiah Katoa? Well, fun fact, Sean O'Sullivan had played a lot of juniors, at least alongside or seeing him come through Isaiah Katoa to the point where his old man, who's regarded as the best judge in rugby league, they signed both Sean O'Sullivan and Isaiah Katoa to the Dolphins.
Funny story with Isaiah Katoa, actually. So when I got back from playing, from playing overseas, I had a handshake agreement to go play some footy out in Penrith for Glenmore Park. Went and played out there. During the period that he was leaving the Panthers and he'd been signed by the Dolphins, he was in a bit of no man's land there for a little bit, but it was the COVID year. Isaiah Katoa was supposed to play with me at A-grade footy.
Really?
As I think he would have been 17 years old. He was a prodigy. Everyone was talking about how good he was supposed to be. It did end up going ahead because I think the competition got closed back in, when it was opening during COVID and then closing.
That was tough on those kids, weren't it?
It was for the development of a lot of these players, and especially, a guy like Isaiah Katoa. He hasn't let it affect him. Yeah. He's become one of the premier players, not only halves in the competition. And I love the nickname there. I haven't seen that one before. The meat tray. He's in for the hammer. Trey Fuller in the 19 jersey. He will be playing fullback for Hamaso Tabuai-Fidow, who has been rested for this game. Everything in my core, the core of me says Sharks have to win this game.
Yeah, there's a 3-letter word starting with B coming.
But Isaiah Katoa.
Yeah.
I am not picking against Isaiah Katoa.
I know. See, okay, we spoke earlier on the program about shiny toys. The Dolphins have got effort players, and that's where you've got to be very, very careful.
Yes, exactly right.
The Sharks do also.
Yeah.
One of their number one effort players, I think, they need to pick. They just need to pick Daniel Atkinson. When they pick him, they seem to win. He's on the bench. They're taking a bit of a each-way ticket.
I've done well on the Dolphins this year. I've been, just tipping comps and that. You try to get as many right as you possibly can, and it's come down to this in Dolphins games, maybe 5 or 6 times, where I'm on the fence with a certain team, and I look at it and I go, I'm just going Isaiah Katoa.
Yeah. And
how many times I have been sitting there watching a game, and someone's texted me and said, "You're right, like you were right with that. Like Isaiah's killing him," and I'd rather be on that side.
Yep.
I'd rather sit there than pick them and they lose. I'm happy to live with that.
Yep.
But I'd rather be sitting there watching Isaiah Katoa carving up and enjoying it because you've got to tip up on the Dolphins.
Speaking of tips, right, and this is why I'm never ever good at tips, head-to-head tips. Reason being, I've always got the value head on. This team can win. They're the outsiders. I want to chase them. But if anyone's got the Daily Telegraph today, I believe I'm close to the pointy end. But I've done something which is tipping suicide in many ways. I reckon the Knights will beat the Storm. And
I don't hate it.
They were $4 when I tipped them, but it's a stupid tip in head-to-head because if they win, I get a point. I should be getting 4 points for picking them.
Yeah.
So anyway, what's your final say here? I don't know.
I'm going
Dolphins.
Dolphins.
I don't know.
I'm going Dolphins. There's not one part of the Sharks that I've watched in the last month that I've thought, I can't wait to tip them next time they play.
Yeah.
And every time I see Isaiah Katoa play, I just want to be on that.
Kurt Donahue.
I love Kurt Donahue.
He was on last week.
He
scored after it.
Yeah, he's been the second most important player in this run for me in the last month.
Yep.
With all the plays that they've been missing, he's been awesome.
Are done with watching anything related to Origin, but the Queensland Rugby League want to lock up Maroons coach Billy Slater before desperate NRL clubs attempt to poach him. In the Daily Telegraph writes Travis Mayne, the Maroons are keen to secure Billy Slater to a new deal and create a Queensland dynasty. Amid fears desperate NRL clubs could target him. I think there's a few desperate Queensland clubs just quietly maybe which has instigated this kind of response. Slater is contracted to the Queensland Rugby League until the end of next year, which will be his 5th series at the helm of the Maroons. But QRL chief Ben Ikin hopes Slater will extend his time. We're trying to hold him for as long as we can. That's a conversation that has to happen with the board, but based on what you saw in this series and what he's delivered us so far, you want him to stick around for as long as he is enthusiastic about the job. Thoughts?
If you're Queensland, you're trying to lock him up for as long as possible. If you're Billy, what would you be doing, Sugar? It is a tricky one, right? He loves Queensland. He's represented Queensland so well at both levels now, in being a player and now being a coach. Man, 3 from 4 is pretty impressive.
Oh yeah.
To go out on a series again where no one expected you to win, with the circumstances and all the drama of Game 2, followed up by the build-up for Game 3 for him, after going through what he went through at the start of the year and then what money he went through in Game 3, I think you'd have to sit back and just have a think about what the series, how the emotional toll that it takes on you in the following seasons. And then also, another factor is, I guess maybe Benny Ikin's trying to hold him away from any potential NRL gigs.
There's a few Queensland teams who people are sort of going, okay, is there a change at the helm here? Speaking of which, we're going to catch up with Kieran Foran later, and the strong tip is that Des won't be there beyond this year. So that would be one club that may be after Billy Slater. I
think almost any club that becomes available right now, even he would, and I've said this now for a couple of years, he would be right at the top of the list for pretty much every club that becomes available at the end of the season due to them moving on, whether it's Queensland, New South Wales, all the way down in Melbourne.
Boggabri Swamp Rats, doesn't matter. He's going to be in demand, isn't he?
And also the other one, he's ticked that box as a player at both club level and representative level. He could go up another state, he could go up to Australia, first Ashes series in 20 plus years, the World Cup next year. Ooh. Maybe that could be appealing to him, because then he still keeps his media commitments.
Wow.
And it's not a full-time job.
Tell you what, I haven't heard that. And you're not allowed to be, apparently, at this stage of the game, a state or NRL coach. But if you had said, listen, I would rather go, I'm not sure it's a promotion. Is it a promotion? What's the most revered job, representative-wise? Is it coaching Australia? Is it coaching New Zealand? Is it coaching another country? Is it coaching Queensland or New South Wales? What's the hierarchy?
You would have to ask him.
Yep.
I would assume. I don't think he would leave Queensland as the coach, and you've been around him as well over the years. Me, not at all. But I don't think he would leave Queensland to another coach where he didn't have full belief that he could go and get the job with him leaving. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course it does. Yeah.
I feel like he cares that much about the role and the jersey and that's, you can feel that through the results and the players that play for him. But it's a really unique opportunity with Australia because, Mel's moving on, so he's not he's not taken over from someone who's got fired who could potentially, I'd imagine Mel's a mentor for him, and another great. So it could align perfectly for him to do a couple of years, maybe do the Australian gig. Imagine if he gets an Ashes series, gets a World Cup next year at representative level, and then decides, all right, enough's enough, I've been doing this and doing the media stuff, we could go and do NRL level. Yeah,
my best guess is, though, I don't, say he wins the lot for Australia. If he was to do it, there's no suggestion, by the way, that he's leaving Queensland to do that. We're just playing a bit of scuttlebutt. But
hypotheticals.
I don't think it's going to be very difficult for Bill. If I'm Billy Slater, I leave the other night and I go, the next 30 years, what's the likelihood that I'll experience that euphoria and that success that I had the other night? And maybe I'm completely wrong, but I kind of feel like it's highly likely that never happens again. It was such a huge win. Our next guest, AAP journalist Joel Gould, who's welcome to the Run Home with Joel and Fletch. G'day, Jolie.
Oh, g'day. Great to be with you. What a moment in rugby league.
Oh, what a moment in rugby league. Is that moment you coming on our program, or what's the moment, Joel?
Well, that'll do. That's a good start.
Now, Joel, you've been all across this big story, the future of Desmond Hasler. Where are we with that?
Well, I mean, when it comes to coaching in the NRL, you either retire or you get fired. That seems to be the way it works. And with Des, it doesn't look like he's going to be there next year. It just hasn't worked on the Gold Coast. So, as we know, there is a clause in the contract there of Des that he can be moved on if the side doesn't make the finals. That's very unlikely. It would be a miracle if that happened. But also, Des hasn't exactly said this, but there's a lot of mail that he's considering pulling the pin as well. But look, he's coming up, I think, in a few games to his 500th NRL game as a coach. Now we know he's won 2 comps as a coach, and he's had a great influence on rugby league at multiple clubs. So it would be sad to see him go out in such a way, but it just hasn't worked on the Gold Coast for Des, but he's not Robinson Crusoe in that regard either.
So do you think, is that the chat? I've seen people talking about this as well over the last sort of week or so since this story broke, Joel, is that are people anticipating him getting to 500, and if they haven't won the last couple of weeks, could it be in 2 or 3 weeks' time that Desi finishes up at the Titans? Is that what people were anticipating up there?
Well, that is a possibility. We've seen the Titans do this. I mean, if you just put Des aside for the moment, if they lost to the Broncos, they're almost a mathematical impossibility to make the finals. They have to win every game and improve their for and against and hope that the cutoff is less than what we think it's going to be. But, I mean, the 500th, once it gets to that, look, in the past, the Titans have put caretaker coaches in. We've seen that. Jimmy Lenihan, his assistant, did that when Justin Holbrook was sacked a couple of seasons ago, and he didn't do too bad a job either. The team actually was looking pretty good under Jimmy, not winning as many as he would have liked. So that's a possibility that what you're saying there could happen. Look, the officials at the club are pretty tight-lipped about what exactly will happen, but ultimately I think it might come down to Des himself making a call on what he does. I think there's a reluctance. I remember talking to Darryl Kelly, who's now no longer the co-owner. It's all with the Frizzell family, but I remember talking to him on the record. I did a piece with him a couple of months ago, and he was backing Des to the hilt, and there was a real reluctance just talking to him for them to, and he would have known about the clause, to enact that clause.
Can I ask you this, Joel? So the reports are, and you may be able to confirm this, that there is a potential of a player revolt, so to speak, which is revolting from many people. And Matthew Johns this morning on Morning Glory was kind of saying, like, I'm paraphrasing here, but revolt your life away. Like, seriously, go and look at yourself in the mirror before there's any kind of revolt. Like, you have to challenge your own performance before you challenge somebody else. And I remember back in the day, Joel, where the West Tigers, and it was all too hard, and Madge is too hard, and he's this, that, and the other. At what point is the leaders of your group? Now, when I say leaders of your group, that's a hard thing to say, because you look at blokes like Tino Fasul-Malawi, and nobody tries harder in the league than him. But at what stage is it the players who have been there, and many of those may have overseen a number of coaches, the board may have overseen a number of coaches. Like, it can't always be the coach, can it, if a player like, or a coach like Des Hasler has gone up there and failed dismally?
Oh, exactly. It's a really good point that you make, Joel, and I think this is the way I look at it too. And we'll get back to the players and their responsibility, and even a bit of the Titans where they've been before Des even got there. But if you look at the last comp Des won, when he won a comp, he won it with the Stewart brothers, he won it with Steve Maddai, he won it with Anthony Watmoe, he won it with Kieran Foran. He won it with a style of football, a real hard heads that played hard. They were real rugby league hard nuts on and off the field. That's how they were. That's only 15 years ago, 14 years ago that he won a comp with those guys. But it may as well be 100 years ago, because I think the players have changed a hell of a lot. And if people are complaining, if players are complaining about Des's methods as far as training them too hard, well, I think that's just complete nonsense on their behalf. But I do think there probably is a disconnect between Des's ways, the way Des is, and the type of player that he's got at the Titans. And I wouldn't include Tino Fa'asuamaleaui in that mix, because I don't think he's certainly one of those that's revolting, as you so well put. But that's what I think he's dealing with. People that don't, and look, his mannerisms, look, players have just got to put up with it. Everyone's different. Every coach is different. But if you look at that club, what I see coming out of that club and some of the leaks that have come from there is making out that Des is the problem. But if you go back to when the current ownership group of Kelly and Frizzell took over in late 2017, if you look at the 7 seasons since, they finished 14th 3 times, 13th once, and won a wooden spoon, and played one final which they lost. So Des Hasler is certainly not at the core issue root problem at the Titans, in my opinion. I think he's probably not the man for the time for some reason, because of the players that he's got there and some of the mentalities that are there. And for want of a better word, you'd say it's a real it's me first rather than team first attitude.
Hey, Joel,
that's what I'm seeing there.
I see a lot of parallels between, he's had a great career as a coach, Des Hasler, so too Wayne Bennett. But both the recruitment of both those sides, if you really drill into them, there is a lot of shiny toys. And what I mean by that, where, there's a lot of players in their rosters. If you put together a highlights reel, it would be so decorated and presented so well. But the likes of the Paul Bunns and those who recruit for the likes of the Melbourne Storm and Frank Panisi and Craig Bellamy, they go after the Trent Lieros and Queensland pick. And I know that the Cowboys are struggling, but Cotter and Dearden, these scrappers, these effort-type players. And you spoke about Des Hasler back in 2012 when he was a runner-up to that man, Craig Bellamy, in that grand final. Again, it was effort-based players. And I think that clubs are getting themselves in trouble. I certainly think South Sydney have got themselves in trouble, and I certainly think the Titans fall into the same conversation. And it's very hard to untangle where you've got these shiny toys who don't necessarily have that huge effort performances, if you know what I mean.
Oh, 100%. Look, I go back to the most successful Titans teams that they had. Here's a couple of blokes that were anything but shiny toys. They ended up being diamonds in the rough.
Yeah.
But rough would be the Nathan Friend.
Yep.
And Mark Minicello.
Yeah.
Like two toilers who were, if you were going to name the most successful Titans team, those two blokes would be in it. And like they're the sort of guys they were recruiting at the time. But sure, they got their spine right. Their recruitment was spot on with Prince Rogers and Preston Campbell and the world's best prop when he signed, possibly Luke Bailey. And he's another workaholic, tough nut. Lay down his life for his team.
Yeah,
they're the sort of blokes they had their most success with, but they've gone away from that. And then they've gone after the shiny toys. I mean, Jared Hayne would be a classic case of and the NRL was running the club at that point when they went after him. Like some of the things they've done, the decisions that they've made in recruitment have been baffling, to be honest. And they need to go back to what set them up at the first place, where they got a spine right and the workaholics roll up the sleeves characters.
Well, Joel, speaking of the spine, let's get over to the Broncos, mate. That's the team they're playing this week, and Benny Hunt's back in at hooker.
Oh, Justin, what a great move for the Broncos. It reminds me a lot of the back end of 2006, the possibilities, when, funnily enough, Wayne actually put Sean Berrigan into hooker, and that was just a masterstroke at the time, and they obviously went on to win the comp. But to get their best spine on the field in the run to the finals with a pretty good draw, most of the players are fit and healthy, I think that's exactly the second win the Broncos need to really have a crack at getting into fourth spot. They're going to have to play well, but Ben Hunt, he's going to make a huge difference to that team, I think. And we haven't seen him play with Reynolds, Walsh and Mam yet, so there's something to look forward to.
Hey, Jolie, appreciate your time, mate, and we'd love to have a lot more time, commitments in front of us, but we hope to get you on before the final series where maybe the Broncos are going deep, maybe the Cowboys make a late run, who knows for all of that, but, mate, we appreciate it, Joel Gould. Thank you so much.
Oh, thanks for having us on. Pleasure.
The Warriors take on the West Tigers. Now, calling the game for Sports Nation is a man who will be alongside Sammy Hewitt, and he's also ticked off the box for playing for both teams. We're talking about the great Blake Ayshford. Blakey, welcome to the Run Home with Joel and Scope.
How are we, fellas? I hope we're good. Jolie, first, sorry, mate, I just got a question for you. Did you really tip out Tommy Dearden at 61s, or is that AI? Sorry, we don't get the sports bet chat over here, so I just saw the clip today.
Yeah, AI hasn't quite caught up to me yet, Blake, but it's working on it, I'm sure. Yeah, there you go. How good was that? What a great story.
Oh, mate, it was unbelievable. Obviously, it hurt me over here being a New South Welshman, but to see that story, and look, going into this Sunday's game, I think Tannah Boyd has the chance to do what Tommy Dearden did. It didn't work out at his first club, but he's come to his second club, and he's looking for a home, and I think he could shine on Sunday.
Yeah, she's been flying, hasn't he? I think people have been telling us they've only dropped the one game in New South Wales Cup. He's been kicking both in general playing and goal kicking for him, and he could turn into another great story with Andrew Webster's 3 years there. He's turned some of these guys that have been maybe discards or journeymen at other clubs, and they've just gone on to thrive at the Warriors.
Yeah, and Scope, I think he will. I'm pretty confident in that, just speaking to him and listening to Webby talk about the success of their first grade team, and Tannah Boyd's probably been their best trainer over the last couple of months. Another thing, I think him signing here without even playing a first grade game speaks to his character, but also what the club's building. You mentioned his kicking game. Look, that'll solve a lot of problems. We know their goal kicking as well hasn't been the best. But Tannah Boyd coming in will probably take those reins. And for me, I think it settles the rest of the team. We know he is an out-and-out 7. He will control the game, especially that last play. And I think he's got those big boys. They're young and they're big outside him, just to look after him over here in Auckland.
Blake, we had Kieran Foran on before, and I suggested that in his retirement, to take the load off Chris Waller, he could actually do interviews for Chris Waller. But clearly then, Kieran Foran will need someone to be him. I reckon you could be Kieran.
The Foz, mate. There's some big shoes to fill if I've got to be the Foz.
Oh, the Foz. What a great player. What a great man. Great chat too for those who missed it. I want to talk about, just you mentioned Tannah Boyd and Blake Ayshford. A lot of people, I think, are unsubscribing in the Warriors. Of course, Mitch Barnett's a massive out. Luke Metcalf was a major chance to win the Dalian medal. And people are saying, okay, well, what's going to happen here? Are we seeing Tom Petty free falling? Or is it the Wolf of Wall Street with Leonardo DiCaprio with relation to the top 4? I'm not leaving. What's happening with these Warriors?
Oh, mate, look, personally, I don't think they've fallen off yet. I know a lot of people have written them off. Maybe it's me living here it's a bit biased. It could be. But if I look at the squad, mate, now you've got the young kids who have a chance to shine. And what we've seen of Dimitri Vaimonga, Leka Halasima, I mean, they wouldn't be getting the minutes they would be getting if the Warriors were at full strength. And when Dimitri Vaimonga got his chance the other week against the Sharks, he's starting to play bigger minutes. I think we can see he's also got that ball playing ability. Well, I didn't know he had, but he's now setting that NRL scene alight with his ball playing skills, but also in the middle there. What I do love, and I already mentioned bias, I might be a little biased on this, but I think Aaron Clark might be the buy of the year, personally. Yeah. And it's him knowing when to tuck the ball under his arm and just take it forward, around the ruck, and then knowing when to be that link man between both sides, both edges. And I still give them a massive chance. They've got good leadership. Curdy Capes, if he comes back this week or next, I think he's still a huge part of this team. And look, I'm not writing them off yet. And if we look at that top 4, I know the Raiders have been winning and doing it, but they haven't been winning comfortably. Teams have been in it to the last minute. We look at the Bulldogs; they're having some up and down games at the moment, and I know the media's on them. Even the Storm, they've been winning games, and we know they're going to be there, but they haven't been blowing teams off the park like I think they will come the semi-finals time. So at the moment, I'm still giving the Warriors a massive chance in this competition, and it's sort of the unknown, isn't it? What Tannah Boyd can bring to this team and what the rest of this team will look like when, let's say, a Charles Nickel-Clockstead comes back and the rest.
Yeah, what about your other team, mate? The West Tigers. They're coming up. They're crossing the ditch to play you guys. You played a lot of your career with Benji Marshall. The team clearly rallied around him last week with a huge performance against the Roosters after being under pressure for a couple of weeks. What are you expecting from the Tigers coming over?
I expect it to be a close game. I think the last, let's say, maybe 5 or 6 games between these two, apart from the return back to Mount Smart after COVID, I think most of those have been in the sort of 1-12 fashion. So I think the Tigers will come over and try and repeat what they did against the Roosters. The thing for me, and I love the Tigers. I'm so happy they won last week and took some pressure off the coaching staff. If that was the case, it seemed like more pressure went on them after the press conference. But going through it, for me, the team, I think, I love what Fanua Pole is doing. He's complementing Terrell May perfectly this year. But the question for me is now, I could be wrong here, but is this the first or one of the first games Latu Fainu and Jerome Luai pair up in the halves? Because I think Jerome Luai's been out through Origin, and I just don't know who's going to play on that left edge.
Yes.
Because he's only started 3. Latu Fainu's only started 3 games, and that would have been before Jerome arrived. So he's played in the 14 jersey with Jerome, but I don't think they've played in. This will be the first time they've played it together as a 7 and 6.
Yeah, and Latu Fainu, he already mentioned after the game against the Roosters when he was interviewed that him and Samuela have played together in the teams growing up. So they've got that combination. Now it's just, do you move Jerome to the right or do you leave him on that left-hand side? They're the questions that I think we'll wait and see how Benji's going to play that out. But I love what Latu Fainu is bringing, that run-first attitude as a 7, and he looks so hard to handle. When they get Buller back, I know Uppy's back this week. That's a big plus. So I think, mate, it's an open game on Sunday. And like I said, the Warriors now with this team and Tannah Boyd, we're still unsure what they will bring. But I think it's going to be a close one. And I know it's going to be packed over here, mate. We've got the NRLW on just before the main game, the New South Wales Cup before. So it's a triple header. There's storms here at the moment, but I'm hoping she clears up and the crowds will file in.
Chatting with Blakey Ayshford, 174 NRL games. What a career that is. A little trivia for you, Blakey, just to break this chat up a little bit. You probably will not know the answer to this. There was only 2 teams. There was only 2 teams of all the teams you played in those 174 games that you did not score against. So for Ryan Pappenhausen, for example, the only team on his bingo card that he has not scored a try against is the Cowboys. He was ruled out last week, and as it turns out, he's ruled out for this week's game against the Knights as well.
Yeah.
Who were the 2 teams that you never scored a try against?
I think I know one because I think I've been asked this before, and it makes sense. I'm pretty sure one's the Dragons.
Yeah, yes. None from 15.
Yep. Yeah, wow. Thanks, mate.
But your strike rate's impeccable aside from that.
Yeah. No, well, I was never getting past the Gasnier-Cooper combo.
No.
And the other one, it'd be the Tigers, actually.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay,
Yes.
Do you know the team who you've scored the most tries against?
Oh, it might have been Parramatta when Scope was in the centre.
Close. Well, Manly you scored a heap against. Parramatta you scored a heap against, but it was the Gold Coast. The Gold Coast is where Blake Ayshford's caused the most damage in his career. Let's get back to rugby league, though. Just about this reserve grade team, and back to people writing them off, Blake. And you've seen a lot of them. I think they've won 11 in a row at the moment. You go back through teams who have won the National Rugby League, and quite often their reserve grade side's done very, very well that year. And that's the component that I sort of think, well, maybe the Warriors are not done this year? Maybe it's not Tom Petty and free falling. Thoughts?
Yeah, no, I agree with you, mate. And, New South Wales Cup, we've all been there and played there. It's so hard to get combinations, but you're only as good really as your first grade team that stays healthy, because then you have that that depth there, the healthy team. But I do like those players that have bided their time. They've gone into a system, and I don't know if anyone's spoken about this, but obviously Penrith are the blueprint for, let's say, the Bulldogs and most probably the Warriors as well. A lot of the training methods are the same. And I think 2 days before the game, they have a really hard out scrimmage. It's full on noise. And New South Wales Cup really pushed the first grade team, which is obviously why they've been going so good. So now these players get their chance to step up. And, we're talking about depth even further. I was in the club the other day and Jet Cleary's name got brought up. And this is another player who's, he's coming along nicely, but he's been in 3 of their last couple of wins, their last 3, and he's tracking along nicely too. So you look at the pathways and the depth there, I do think that it'll filter through to their first grade. And it is something that I think they've got a long-term plan for. I think they see a team, maybe not this year, but in 1 or 2 years, they've got a team on a board somewhere where they think, hey, this is the team that can win a competition. And I think those players, or majority of those players, are actually in the club at the moment.
Are they going to keep the CEO, Blake, you reckon?
Oh, big Cammy George. I think he'll be there.
Yeah.
I think Cam George loves rugby league too much to go anywhere else. He loves the Warriors. He's a good man as well. He's done plenty for the club, and he's been with them through the tough times. Obviously, being over in Australia seems like a long time ago now, but the way him and the rest of the staff have really built the club up, and Mark Robinson as well, the owner, really building this club up and selling out games, months in advance. I think it'd be silly for anyone to want to see him go, or for Cam to go now.
The game, I think Scope needs the 3 of those. Mark Robinson, who Blakey mentions. We're chatting with Blake Ayshford, by the way, former Warrior, Tiger, Shark. Mark Robinson, CEO Cam George, and Andrew Webster.
That combination.
We need those 3. We need those 3.
For sure. They've done such a good job, and it's most notably since Webby's been over there. They're building something special, and as we all know, you need to have that unison within the front office, and they feel like they've got great connection, and that's going down all the way through their pathway system, getting results at New South Wales Cup. And Jet Cleary, that's a huge name.
Yeah, wow. Is he a tap-in first grader, Blakey?
Oh, look, mate, I can't say that I've seen too much of him play. I'm just going off what I've been told from people, how he's slowly improving, and it's really obviously the pressure would be there. It'd be there. Your dad was a superstar as a player, coach, and now your brother's one of probably the best in the world. And so you've got all that, but I think now to come out, he'd still have people going, oh, that's Cleary, that's Nathan Cleary's brother. But now to come over to New Zealand, I think he's tracking along nicely from what I hear. And obviously moving up, starting in Jersey Flegg and moving up to New South Wales Cup, it seems like they haven't really missed a beat, with Tannah going up to 18th man and missing some games. So that's the promising sign I'm hearing anyway.
Yeah, I reckon in maybe 10 years' time, when Jet Cleary has really blossomed into an out-and-out first grader and is a star of the game, people are going to go back and look at the journey, leaving Penrith, leaving his superstar brother, leaving his dad, going over to Webby, who's someone who Ivan obviously trusts with the development of his son, and doing it in his own way. And I think that's going to serve him really well long term.
Yeah, I think it will, mate. And look, I have never met the kid, to be honest, so I don't want to speak on his character or anything. But from what we see and hear, it is a big move coming over to New Zealand and leaving your family at such a young age. But if he's coming over here blossoming like he is already, I think the future is bright.
Yeah, I love what he's done. Well, it's his call, ultimately. I was going to say what Ivan's done, but it's really Jet's call. So I love that they've done that. And clearly the rap there for Ivan Cleary is immense with Coach Webster, because to send your young fella over to another country in the keeping of a man, so he must be very, very proud. And the results are there, right? So he's an absolute gun. Blakey, you've got the big call. It is the Warriors taking on the West Tigers. A doubleheader, by the way, as the Magpies, the West Magpies. So you've got names like Taylor May is going to be playing there. You've got Brent Naden, Luke Laulili, Kurt Falls, who was a Panther Junior himself, Royce Hunt, Kit Lilly, and Charlie Murray, who played first grade last week. So it is a virtual sort of the old days reserve grade, I suppose. You'll be calling all the action. Blake, we appreciate your time here on the Run Home with Joel and Scopey. Thanks, mate. Have a great call.
No worries. Thanks, mate. I'll be tuning in to this show and also the Levels Network soon. So get all my stuff from the legends. Thanks,
Good
fellas.
Man.
Go, Tommy did. And hey, good on you, Blakey. The Raiders have moved to secure young gun Kaeo Weekes for a further 2 seasons. Reid and Carianis report. And you're going, what's so fascinating by that? Of course, they're going to sign him as a gun. Why would they not re-sign him? Well, Canberra's superb season is set to continue with one of the game's most improved players in Kaeo Weekes, set to ink a long-term deal to remain at the Raiders. So this is Brent Reid and the full package, Michael Carianis, reporting. Why this is interesting is he's contracted currently already
Smart.
to the end of 2027.
Very smart from the Raiders.
Already contracted, so the urgency on signing him is not there.
No, I like this, and I've been calling for this with young players. When you get a player and you think that he's that guy, you extend him, you keep the camp happy, the money's going to go up, the salary cap's going to go up. He's going to, the more he plays, the more games he plays, the higher his value is going to go.
And it blocks the noise in 18 months, 2 years' time of... That's what it does.
If I'm, with the way these contracts are, set up these days, if you're in a window, if you like a player, if a guy's playing past where he's at, and the prime example for me now is the Dolphins, I'd be doing everything I possibly could to extend Izzy Katoa past 2027. This is really good business from the Canberra Raiders getting Kaeo Weekes done, because at the start of the year, mate, 50-50 on the high ball, Kaeo Weekes.
Yeah.
He was under assault.
Yep.
He worked hard on his game. Ricky stuck by him, and now they've rewarded him with a contract and a couple of those kick returns on the weekend. The second one reminded me a bit of the old Hain-Plane era, when he would catch one, beat a couple of defenders, and take it to the house. He's going to be a real player for them moving forward, and another one that Manly unfortunately let go.
Mate, those players, right, who are built, his core is quite thin.
Yep.
And they're light up top, but they've got this rump,
big base,
power,
which
is carrying not a lot, right? They're
almost like a
handle.
running back.
Yes,
almost like a running back in the NFL.
So the Raiders, Jaden Brayley joins them 2026. Jamal Fogarty leaves for Manly 2026, and Savelio Tamale, he extends to 2028. So they're all over it at the moment. 1300-01-1170. The round preview, though, we'll get into that thanks to Hyundai. Game on right now at Hyundai with offers like the dynamic Tucson. From $39,990 drive away, and we start with this. Scopey, the Knights take on the Storm. We've got the call on SEN. Jimmy's going to be there. Timmy's going to be there. Adam Blair's going to be there. McDonald Jones Stadium. So if you're heading out there to the ground, hold down the SEN app and you will see SEN Stadium. That is the way to do all of that. So that will be covered tomorrow. The Knights take on the Melbourne Storm, where I am tipping the Knights to win the game. Last year they snuck home 14 points to 12. Yes, no Fletcher Sharp, but their Fletcher quota is still there. Fletcher Hunt goes to fullback. No Ponga. Marzu comes back. Leo Thompson comes back. Ryan Pappenhausen, a big out for the Melbourne Storm Scope.
Upset alert, Brooksy.
Are you with me?
I'm with ya.
Good boy.
I'm with ya. I haven't done that one in a while. That goes back to the Moles days.
Yeah.
That was my little thing with Brooksy there for a couple of
I'm proud
weeks.
you're with me.
Yeah, we'll bring it back. We'll bring it back for this game when we're on the same page. Yeah, I think the Knights can upset the Storm. No Munster, like a number of the big players that they're missing. No Pappy. Xavier Coates very rarely backs up after Origins. Yep. He's had all those sort of lower body injuries, whether it's soft tissue, whether it's the ankle injury. So, an opportunity for Newcastle to get an unlikely victory. And not a lot of people would have pegged them to get a win against the Melbourne Storm. But there's an opportunity to get it done.
Absolutely. Now, for the Melbourne Storm, by the way, if you want to be... See, I'm going the Knights for a few factors. I assume that Pappy would be out, and as it turns out, Pappenhausen is out because he pulled out of the game late against the Cowboys last week. They've been back-to-back on the road to Townsville, back to Melbourne. Now you go to regional New South Wales for Newcastle. It is tough. Your coach has been off in Origin camp. Your general manager, Frank Panisi, has been off in Origin camp. You've got a lot of stars in Origin camp backing up. This is upset o'clock. Absolute upset o'clock. But the caveat is this, Scopey. They're very good at this. They pride themselves on winning this game. The last 7 times in the games immediately after Origin, they're 7 from 7, winning by an average margin of 11 points.
Well, they've been in the top 4 for almost dating back to when I played.
Yep.
Like they just know how to finish in the top 4. And in order to finish in the top 4, despite missing multiple stars at Origin, you're still got to be able to win these games.
Yep.
And they always do. They find a way. And they'll probably make us look silly, Sugar, by selecting the Knights. But I think on this occasion, I'm going to take the Knights. And, we'll see how it plays out. But the Storm, it wouldn't. And then again, even though I'm tipping the Knights, it wouldn't surprise if Melbourne go and do a Melbourne thing and we'll get a victory out with a number of stars missing.
Similar to the Cowboys where they scrapped away 1 by 6. Maybe, probably, who knows. Dragons take on the Roosters. Jubilee Stadium at Cogra will be the venue. Saturday, 5:30 p.m. Valentine Holmes expected to back up. Leilua Luciano, that is. He comes back. Hamish Stewart, he's back as well. But the big in, there's a few big ins. Billy Smith's a big in, missed out last week. Victor Radley's a big in, and we hope him all the bit. We really need him to have, a truckload of games back to back. We want to see that for Victor and for him. But the big announcement in this game, Sam Walker returns after that thumb injury, which was after the ACL injury.
Yeah, Brooksy was asking me a question in the break, and maybe we'll get the listeners to see if they can chip in and help us out with this. Maybe some Dragons or Roosters fans, because could it have been the arrival or at least Sam Walker applying pressure in the lower grades that ended up leading to Kyle Flanagan making the shift to the Bulldogs? Because remember, he was going through a good little run there for a couple of years with the Roosters. He ended up getting dropped late at the end of the season. But I think it was around the same time that Sam Walker arrived. So Kyle Flanagan would love to get this victory for a number of reasons.
Yep.
And I'm tipping the Roosters with zero confidence.
I do know he got dropped late in the season. Why do I know that, folks? Because I tipped Kyle Flanagan to win the top points score at 50-1.
That's right.
And he led by 8 going into the last round, and Robbo dropped him.
For the very last round?
And then Adam Reynolds come out and scored 1,000 points to go past him. I'm still wearing that one, folks.
How good was Mark Nwanganita-Wase on the weekend?
Mate,
what about those efforts?
What an athlete.
Now he's back out on the... So who's he going to be? Right wing? He'll go up against Finau, Sione Finau.
Yep.
Slaney's on the right.
What an athlete.
Get it one-on-one. Rob Toya back, who...
Yep.
How would he be feeling right now?
We'll go through that back line, Scopey. So if you start at the top, right, this is the Roosters we're talking about. So James Tedesco last year misses by the Dalian by point. This year could be Winks-like. It feels like he's going to win the Dalian by not that far. It's not funny. Even after the loss last week, he would have featured. 9 tries in his last 6 games against the Dragons, has not missed in any of those games. So either a double or a single. So he's at the fullback.
Yep.
You've got Daniel Tupu, who, if you get the kick right to him, he just scores. Billy Smith didn't play last week. Gunn, he comes back. Bobby Toya goes back to the centres after the experience he's had. He's still only played about 12 first-grade games. And then Mark Nwanganita-Wase, that back 5 is elite.
Yeah, they're playing well, aren't they? Those 3 guys are the reason that I... anticipated, or that's the reason we got the Michelle Beck going.
Yeah.
And I didn't think the Roosters were going to be able to back it up. I thought they were a year away. No way could I have seen the emergence of Rob Toya. I know they've talked about him for a long time, but he had a couple of ACLs. Billy Smith's just always been injured.
Yep.
So I didn't know they were going to be able to rely upon him the way they have this year. And Mark Nwanganita-Wase, he is just... I know he got 1 game last year and he had some nice moments and, he scores that beautiful try over the top. But once they lost to the 2 Joeys, Joseph Manu and Joseph Swaliti, and also Dom Young was there was all this noise that he was eventually going to move on, which he did 4 or 5 weeks ago. That back five has turned into. It's right up there. It's right
absolutely.
up there with some of the best back fives.
For the audience at home, whether you're watching this or listening to this, we've got about 3 different panels, and on each one of those, the tourists are screaming, next game, next game. Okay, let's go to that next game. Cowboys hosting the Bulldogs, QCB Stadium up there in Townsville. Murray Talangi listed amongst the reserves. Lockie Galvin. I had a thought about this, Scope. I had a big thought about this. And I share this with Brooksy and Tourist and Tembuck Chuck and Jez. And I think what they need to do at the Dogs is just to go back to what was working, put Galvin in reserve grade, keep him training with first grade, probably come finals, something will happen that will get him into the side. But I think for right now, just go back to what was working. What do you think?
I'm with you. I'm one or the other. I'm either start Lachlan Galvin, and unfortunately, Toby Sexton's the player that makes way, or you just let Toby Sexton continue what he was doing at the start of the season, drop Lockie Galvin completely out of the team, and have him there as probably the best backup in the competition.
Yep, that's what we think anyway, folks. And they're set to sign injured. Oh, this is a good story. So the Bulldogs are set to sign injured Shark star Kay Dykes, Michael Carianis, the full package, and Brent Reid report. So he's expected to link up with the Bulldogs next year. He's had these ACL concerns. His partner, Andy Robinson, had a blinder again last night. Now, she's gone through the same path of ACLs. So quite the story. She's at the Bulldogs. The Sharks have really supported Kay Dykes. You know, they really have. And I think the Dykes family would acknowledge that. But I just get the sense this could be the irony out of all of this is that Connor Tracy went through the same thing at the Sharks. So the Sharks saw this boom kid coming through, ACL after ACL after ACL, and eventually you cannot keep coming back to the party. They let him go, and now look at his career. And the irony is that the Bulldogs might be pinching another one, which has gone through the identical path as Connor Tracy.
Great kid, Kay Dykes. I had a fair bit to do him when I lived over your way, Shug. Used to go to the gym where he was helping out as a youngster coming through the grades. Just a great human. I've been devastated for him the last couple of years because I've been watching his career with interest and seeing the setbacks. The rehabilitation and the bounce back is so much like you can do it in this day and age. And if you're dedicated and you're willing to work, and I know he is, it could be a really sneaky good pickup for the Bulldogs in the next couple. Because the Sharks loved him. And the Sharks really wanted him to take that next step, but he just couldn't stay healthy.
The Sharks love him, not loved him. They love him. They do love him and the family, of course. His father, Adam Dykes, what a great career he had. Lionel's loving the show as well. He said, dogs don't need your advice from you two clowns, you idiots.
So Lionel messages all the time. He thinks I'm a Dogs hater.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, Warriors taking the West Tigers. The in-depth preview is with Blake Ayshford. He's going to be calling that on SEN. The key news here, Tulpiki will go to fullback and Tannah Boyd, he will start at halfback. He is a gun goal kicker too, by the way. Jerome Luai expected to back up for the West Tigers. They also get back Appy Coruscant. I know for a fact that Sean the Trader thinks there could be an upset on the cards, and this may help that said cause because according to the Daily Telegraph understand that the Tigers and Coruscant's management held productive talks this week regarding an extension to his current deal, which kind of makes sense because the fact that they've let Tallon De Silva go, who'll play for Parramatta this weekend, it kind of makes sense that they probably knew they had Appy up their sleeve, Scopey.
I assumed it was going to get done. Otherwise, it would have been crazy to let Tallon De Silva go. I don't know, maybe got him because they were able to let Tallon go so early, maybe he's been able to negotiate an extra 50K, you reckon?
Yeah, just squeeze a little bit more out.
He knows what other options do they have. So, he extends there. It looks as though he's got a great relationship with Benji and obviously Jerome, so makes a lot of sense. And by the way, we've got a few texts coming through as well. What about the reverse scope who's going to be calling the game over there, Aish? He's an Aussie who grew up here, grew up around, I played against him in Dever Sports.
That's right. Where were you?
I was at Westfields. I was at Westfields. We had some good battles, and he loved mention that he carved me up in the centres in one game too. He's got a Kiwi accent. He's opposite to me.
He's a reverse scope.
He's a reverse scope. I'm a Kiwi living here I cop a lot of flack when I go back to New Zealand about having the Aussie accent. He had a strong, it's sort of like in between Chris Waller, Kieran Foran accent.
I promise you, and I might bring this up with Fletch, maybe it's one for him and Maddie to do. I want Kieran Foran to start taking some Chris Waller interviews, and no one will know. I promise you.
You know what you do? Try to get give Fozzie a script, and it's talking about a race on the weekend with a horse. Yeah. Get him to read it out and say, "Oh, we've got a tip here from Chris Waller," and see if Fletchy picks up. That's not him. Yeah, I reckon that's the go.
Yes,
that's the go.
Yes. There's no way in the world that. Brian Fletcher's listening right now. He typically plays golf on a Friday, and off he goes to his favourite restaurant. So maybe we do that. We'll get Chris Waller on. It'll be Kieran Foran, and we'll. That's a great idea. We will be doing that. Don't tell Fletch, please, guys. Eels take on the Panthers, the local derby. They met in round 13. Panthers were the hosts on that occasion at CommBank Stadium. This time they moved the game to CommBank Stadium. Where Tannah Silva will make his debut for the Eels, Scopey.
Yeah, look, in order for Api Carousel to get the new contract there was a decision between him and Tannah Silva.
Yep.
Tannah Silva goes over to the Eels. I like that he's coming off the bench as well. And it's the Battle of the West. The Battle of the West. I wish there was probably more build-up there to these sort of matchups. Now, I know it's, Parramatta have been down at the bottom of the ladder over the last couple of years. But this game, about 5 weeks ago, at the same stadium, because Penrith had been the home ground for it's been the home ground for Penrith this year as well. This is what got Penrith going. This game, it was the West Tigers, the Parramatta Eels. They just needed to find a way to get a couple of victories, and then they had really strong victories against top 4 teams in the Warriors and Bulldogs. And now people are starting to go, can Penrith make a run? Can they not only make the 8, can they get into the top 4?
Okay, with that, folks, let's play the run home, run home. Let's play the run home with the Scopey. All right, so they're on 21 points, folks. Scope's going to tell you whether they can make it. They start with the Eels at CommBank. Win or loss?
Win, unfortunately for my Eels.
Okay, Bunnies at CommBank.
Win.
Tigers at CommBank.
Win.
Titans at Seabus.
Win.
Knights at McDonald Jones.
Oh, I think, no, Kalen. Win.
Storm at CommBank Stadium.
Storm.
Okay.
Loss. First L.
Raiders in Mudgee.
Loss.
Penultimate game of the year, the Bulldogs at Accor.
Loss.
So now they are on 31 points, which may get you in. 33 definitely gets you in. According to our man, the Scope, in the run home for the Panthers, the Dragons at Wollongong.
Win.
They're off to finals.
They're off to the finals. They scrape him.
Okay. I've got a view on the Panthers this week, Scopey, and it's a risk, but I think it's a long-term risk that I'll roll the dice on.
Rest a couple of the big dogs?
Rest all the big dogs.
Yeah.
Rest all the big dogs because...
I think the Para Eels can get him if they do that, though.
Do you?
Yep. But I would do the same. Because this was the period that I was worried about the Panthers.
Yeah.
This is why I tipped them not to make the 8 right at the start of the season. They weren't playing well enough as a team. They'd lost a couple of games at the start of the year. They normally win, and they're going to miss too many. They're going to have too many stars out. Like you can't tell me. I don't care what the reports are. There is no way that Nathan Cleary and Brian Toto are 100% fit. They'll tough it out though.
Yeah, of course they will. This text comes through. Can't believe the Sharks are going to let Cade Dykes go. Their recruitment and retention of the past 4 years. So it goes on. Says Guru. Oh, look, you know what?
Eric Grace Jr. texted in.
I can understand why they would let him go, right? They've backed him and backed him and backed him.
Yeah.
And I think even he and the family will understand. I think it probably will bite him on the Shaminda.
I reckon a change of scenery can be good for a player.
It's a win for both. It's for both, you know. And the Sharks would have loved nothing more than to see Cade Dykes have the career they probably wanted to see him have and may still have. And I hope he does have that career there at the Dogs as he goes there. Let's before we move on to the local derby of the Broncos and the Titans, the Parramatta Eels have extended the contract of Joash Papali'i to the end of the 2027 NRL season, according to paraeels.com.au scope.
I like Joash. He brings a lot of energy.
Yep.
He's one of those. I think Jason Rolls was talking about him. He's just one of those guys you just love to have a part of your group.
They love him.
They've got to find a position for him. But, great signing. He's been, ever since he's arrived, I've been hearing great things about him at Para.
They say he's a 6'2", by the way. I know he came through playing a lot of fullback. They do believe he is a 6. Just a quick word on this game here. We've already caught up with the great man Kieran Foran. That'll be on the podcast or the YouTube. You've got to listen to it. So many texts have come through saying what a great chat that was with the retiring Kieran Foran. It's his 35th birthday on Sunday. He's playing Game 310. You can hear this call on SEN League and Broncos radio through the SEN app or wherever you listen to your SEN. Michael Maguire will coach his 250th game. You've got Origin players like Cobbo named as 18th man. Campbell's back. Fafita's back. There's a lot's going on here with Des Hasler seemingly looking to retire at the end of the year as well. This is a funny, trappy, strange game.
Unashamedly biased, not only because of my relationship playing with him, but also just a great interview today. I'm on Fozzie.
Oh, how good was the
I'm on Fozzie. We're on Fozzie to score.
Yep.
We're on the Titans to win. And he's going to go and get a famous victory for his coach that he loves so much.
You know the rules, folks. You come on this show, you probably score if you're an NRL player.